NFC East fans and Lockdown Defense patrons, we're back with another heavy-hitting video as we gear up to the NFL Draft. Less than a month away at this point. The NFL Draft drops April 23rd, and we're talking to NFC East teams today, post-free agency. We're going to talk about each team in the division. We're going to talk about exactly what they did in free agency and what they still need leading up to the draft for the 2026 season. Let's get into it. So the NFC East has got some movement going and some things moving around in the NFC East. We got a new coach in the building, and John Harbaugh going to the Giants. Jaden Daniels is coming back for the Commanders off his injury-riddled season. The Cowboys are making moves in free agency, and the Eagles are trying to get back on track with a new offensive coordinator. So what's going to happen in this division? Who has the biggest holes to fill? Pause if needed. And we'll talk about exactly everything everybody did in free agency going into the 2026 season and what's the glaring needs for the draft, because everybody has draft picks. And I want to say everybody has a first rounder, at least. Some our divisions aren't as fortunate. So we're going to talk about every team in this division, and we're going to break down exactly what they need going into the draft and who they can pick up to bolster their rosters. So as we did for the AFC, if you didn't see those videos, check it out. If you're an AFC fan of any team, please go back and look at the channel and check that out. We did every AFC team, every AFC division last week, and we broke everything down in regards to what their biggest needs are. So we're going to do the NFC the same way. So we're going to get into the free agency acquisitions, their top three needs after the acquisitions they did in free agency, and who will be the ideal draft pick or free agent that they can get coming up in the next few weeks, so they can get their roster tight and contending for the division title potentially and further along in the playoffs. So we're going to break it all down. So we're going to go in alphabetical order, no bias, and we're going to just do it alphabetical order so we don't seem like we're showing favoritism on the network, right? So we're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys, and then we'll get to the New York Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Washington Commanders. We'll do it in that order. So starting off with the Cowboys were busy. We're definitely busy. I can't say enough about their acquisitions. They definitely made some trades. They went out and got some guys in free agency, did a franchise tag on a person that I'm going to talk about in a second. So yeah, they made some moves, and they're definitely glaring areas of need on the defensive side of the ball primarily. They definitely did some shuffling. So the top of this list, of course, they re-franchise tagged George Pickens, which I thought was a mistake. Jerry playing this game again with the whole franchise tag, trying to convince you to take the money he wants you to take versus the money you want. You know, that whole house of cards. I'm going to call it house of cards. I can't call it anything else. This PC, right? I'm not on Patreon today. If you haven't noticed the link up top, hit the QR code for Patreon if you haven't signed up for that today as a quick FYI. But George Pickens being franchise tag is not a good look for this team. He's not going to sign that tag. I'm just going to tell you right now, Cowboy fans, he's not going to sign it. Jerry's going to have to figure something out. If he can convince him to sign it so he can trade him maybe, but, they're going to play this, game back and forth. He could have another Le'Veon Bell situation on his hand. Clearly, it wasn't his situation because I was in Pittsburgh, but it's going to be the same type of vibe. He's not in his. Ironic enough, he's a Pittsburgh traded player, right? Traded player. So he's going to sit out. He's not going to sign a tag. In my professional opinion, I don't think he's going to do it. Again, Jerry got to come right with the money, or he's not going to play. We can drag this all the way out. He's looking at it from a perspective that I want to be paid now. I don't want to dance around this franchise tag. No guarantees. No air quote. I guess you can say, commitments going forward. He don't want to play that game. And who does? Franchise tag is not meant for much of anything. I think it needs to be abolished. But we're going to cry over that right now, but he's not going to sign it. So we'll see how that drama unfolds. Another chapter in Jerry Jones' life, right? So they went out and signed Jalen Thompson, the safety. They needed some help in the safety room. They got on Jalen Thompson. They traded for, ironically enough, this is weird. They traded Michael Parsons away to the Packers, and they go back again and trade for Rashawn Gary, his counterpart, from Green Bay, to get him in the edge rushing department. Weird. Why didn't they just do that from the jump? They just swap those players, maybe a first round pick or some lower round picks and get it done. But again, Jerry doesn't do anything conventional. Went out and traded Rashawn Gary to add to the edge rushing room. Him and Donovan Izaraku were going to be the edge rushers for 2026. Got Kobe Durant from the Rams, cornerback. They got PJ Locke from the Broncos, another safety. They got two good safeties two solid safeties to fill out that room. They signed Sam Howell as a backup. The releases and departures, they traded away Ozzie Odigizua and Solomon Thomas because they now have Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark. So yeah, they definitely are moving on from their I guess you can say old guard in their interior and moving with the big dogs up front. So now actually, ironically enough, I think they need some linebacker, but I like their front four at this point. They were edge rushers, and because I think they switched to 34 as well. Their front four and their front five, I should say, and their edge rushers at this point. I think they're doing pretty good up front. They need to address the back end of the defense, the linebackers in the secondary in the draft. So we'll see how that goes. But that leads me to what they need. They definitely need a number one corner. They need a safety to fill out their room with PJ Locke and Jalen Thompson. Because I'll be honest, I like Jalen and PJ, but I think they need a difference-making safety. And we're having two first-round picks. They definitely can go out and get a playmaker. And then they need a linebacker. They need a guy that's going to play next to Overshown. Overshown is a little bit of an undersized linebacker. They maybe need a veteran there to, quote unquote, fill that void in his spot, or play alongside him so they can, in that 34, so they can make plays and get downhill and stop the run. I got a guy I think is perfect for him, so I'm going to break that news in a minute. But yeah, I think those are the top three needs, and they're all defensive. Clearly, they've been working on the offensive line for a while. The tight end room is solid. The wide receiver room, assuming the key pickers is solid. Running back room, they re-signed Javonte Williams, so that's solid. So yeah, I think they need to go ahead and just address the defense holistically in the first couple of rounds of the draft and get that done. So the guys I have my eye on, again, if they're picking in their first round picking, Mason Delane is there. Mansour, I keep saying Mason. Mansour Delane is there at the cornerback. If nobody snags them before they pick, you draft them, and you just don't even waste time. The moment your pick is on now, as they say you're on the clock, you hand that card in. He's the best corner in the draft, in my opinion. He's the number one guy. I mean, a lot of people are high on Gerard McCoy, but I'm a little concerned about him coming off the ACL as a corner. That's definitely a position you don't want to be coming off the ACL to start as your number one guy. So I would argue that I would definitely, if he's there, I'm picking Mansour Delane, and I'm good. And my second first round pick, I'm going to get Dylan Thielemann from Oregon. I'm getting him to fill that void in the safety room, and I'm going into free agency to get Devin White. I just don't understand the mystique, or I guess you can say the negative connotation around Devin White. But that's the place he's played at, especially with the Raiders. He played really well last year, and I'm still baffled by the fact that he doesn't have a contract. He's not signed nowhere. Why the Raiders didn't bring him back, or somebody else didn't pick him up already. But the fact that he's still sitting out there, you got the money to go spend. I would go get Devin White to go along with Overshown, and I would definitely love my front seven now. Without the draft. I mean, I only have to draft anybody in the front seven. We'll focus solely on secondary in the draft. So yeah, I would definitely go out and get Devin White, and I'm liking what my defense looks like from last year to this year already. With Delane, Thielemann, and him, yeah, and with the pieces you got, that's a solid defense. And just can they coach him up? Coach him up and play well on that scheme. So we'll see. Got a new DC, so it should be a good time in Dallas. And nothing else will be entertaining and be talking points for us as podcasters, right? So we'll see. All right, so moving on to the new incumbent head coach in the division, John Harbaugh. Made a lot of changes over there in New York, and hopefully it's a good thing. They can finally be relevant after years and years and years of, obscurity. Let's call it that. They were definitely being, I won't call it a laughing stock, but a little bit like it in the division. Kind of the Arizona Cardinals like in the West. They were definitely the team that was on the low end of the totem pole for several years. I would argue since the Eli Manning years. Maybe had a 1 year with Daniel Jones, but largely irrelevant. And hopefully Jim Harbaugh can change that whole narrative, right? So they went out and got Isaiah Likely, ironically enough, from Baltimore, his tight end that he made sure they signed Mark Andrews to a long-term deal, so they couldn't keep a Likely. So he went out and signed Likely for agency, which is crazy. It could not be a coincidence. It could be, but it's funny that he's in from Baltimore to New York. They went out and got Tremont Edmonds, linebacker from the Bears via the Bills. A 6'5", 242-pound linebacker. Don't grow on trees, man. And the kid can run. Still young. One of the Edmonds kids, one of the Edmonds boys, the brothers, one of the other brothers out of the league now, I believe. But Tremaine's still balling. That's a great pickup for them. Nice big body in the middle of that defense with that front four. They got all there. Well, front five because they run a 34. I like that. I like that signing altogether. Just weird that the Bears didn't let him go. Maybe just didn't fit their scheme. I don't know. But he still can play, in my opinion. The interesting one for me, they re-signed Jermaine Illuminor. I mean, I guess he played well enough because they drafted Evan Neal to play the right tackle spot. He never panned out. Although they brought him back for like chump change maybe as a guard. I don't know. Not sure what they're going to do with him, but they did bring him back. But they re-signed Illuminor, who played right tackle for them all last year. And I guess they like what they saw because they brought him back. They signed him to a long-term deal, and he's now going to be the right tackle. Because I thought they were going to draft right tackle in the draft with their high pick. But that's off the table now because they paid him. So they got him, re-signed him to a long-term deal. Went out and got Greg Newsome second. That's a great pick. I don't understand why Jacksonville didn't hold on to him. They traded for him from the Browns. Why didn't they hold on to him? Jacksonville's can make me scratch my head about what they're doing over there, period, in free agency. But whole other conversation. But Greg Newsome signing as a cornerback there was a big add for that room, for sure. I think their secondary is way better now, right now than it was, a minute ago before they got Greg Newsome. He's a great man coverage corner. Great man coverage corner. And again, the Browns stole him when they got him in the draft and they traded him, which is weird. But for my money, he definitely can still play at a high level. So that's a great sign for them. They got out Darius Washington as well. Safety. They got Patrick Ricard, another Baltimore Raven fullback for their running game. Can you imagine a combination of Ricard and Scatterbull in the backfield? That's just cheating. But that's what they did. Got Chris Manhurt as a tight end. They signed a punter, Jordan Stout. They got Darnell Mooney, slot receiver from the Falcons. They got Calvin Austin, another slot guy from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then they re-signed Michael McFadden, linebacker. They, like I said, re-signed Evan Neal, talked about that. And the only person they let go was Bobby Orike, because again, they got Tremaine Edmonds and Michael McFadden back. So they're pretty solid in their linebacker crew, as well as other places. So they got a pretty solid roster there without the draft. So that leads me to my point about what I think they're going to do in the draft. Now, some people should say should be wide receiver early, should be guard early. Still curious what they're going to do with Evan Neal. Maybe they're going to kick him inside to play guard versus tackle. Not sure what the thought process there is with him coming back, but they're picking so high, and I got a feeling this guy's going to be available to them at 5. They might go running back in the first round. And you know who the running back is. I mean, if you've been watching any tape, any film, or who's the running back for the draft, who's the number one guy, I got a feeling they're gonna not. They can't pass on him. I think they're just gonna look at it from a perspective. They just can't pass him. He's too good. I would say wide receiver is more of a need. They got Mooney and a few other guys. Of course, they're gonna get Neighbors back, but I don't think they're gonna have the bid to pass on Love, especially with the fact they got Edmonds and Mike McFadden. Because I would say Sonny Styles is the obvious pick. But again, you paid Edmonds, you got McFadden. So do you pick Sonny Styles over Love? I don't think you do that. I love Sonny Styles. That's my guy. I'm a former linebacker. I cape for linebackers. I'm a linebacker stand. But I'm going to be honest and be realistic about the situation. I believe that they're going to get Jeremiah Love at that pick. I really do. Then they'll come back into the wide receiver conversation in the second pick, and then they'll maybe get an offensive guard in the third. But yeah, I don't see how they pass on Love. I don't. So I'm breaking the news. I think they go Jeremiah Love first. I think the second round they get Denzel Boston, another big body receiver on the outside. You can imagine him and Neighbors on the outside with Austin and who's the other guy they got in the slot that I just named? Let's go back real quick. I'm spacing on it. They got what's the guy's name? Darnell Mooney. So you got Mooney, Austin in the slot and 4 wide. You got Boston and Neighbors on the outside, and you got Theo Johnson in the middle as a wide receiver. With Jeremiah Love in the backfield. I'm done. Sign it up. It's over. It's a wrap. The offense is completely different. Now, the only caveat to that is what the offensive coordinating situation is going to be like, because they got some guys, retread guys, that I don't really care for, but on paper, the roster is stout. Is legit. So Jeremiah, let's just process this. Jeremiah Love in the backfield with Cam Scatterbull backing him up. Theo Johnson, Malik Neighbors, Denzel Boston, Calvin Austin, and Darnell Mooney. And that's your offense with what's why am I spacing on the kid's name? That's the quarterback now. Jackson Dart. I'm ashamed of myself because I was talking about the kid in glowing fashion in pre-draft last year. Jackson Dart. I'm sorry, Jackson. Again, big Star Wars fan, so I should never forget that. But he got the face paint like Anakin Skywalker. It's weird that I forgot that. But Jackson Dart, yes. But that offense is going to look legit if they do all this. And then round it out in the later rounds, because I don't think they have a third. You get Buse Stevens in the later rounds to fill out the guard spot because they can backfill Evan Neal if he doesn't pan out or whoever the guard is going to be. But Buse Stevens would be a great pickup in the later rounds for them. And they would be off and running and cooking with gas. And I would be worried about this team if I'm an NFC East rival, if they do all these moves. But I'm with it. I'm here for it, man. So it should be a good time. All right, so let's move over to the Philadelphia Eagles. The I guess you can say They're the two-time division champs at this point. First time that's won back-to-back in years. Eagles, but they kind of, walked into it because the Cowboys were a little, uneven. The Commanders quarterback was hurt, and we all know what the Giants have been up to this point. So they kind of, by default, they were division title champs, 2 years running. But they just made some interesting moves. Howie Roseman not going to sit on his hands on anything to get this roster right. Now, the only question to me is what his offensive coordinator is going to look like. But they made some interesting takes in what they did for agency as well. They extended Jordan Davis, which I thought was interesting because I thought Jalen Carter would be the first guy up to get a deal in the interior. But they love Jordan Davis and gave him a deal for a long-term deal already, which is interesting. I'm not sure exactly, what you're going to do about Jalen Carter. Can you pay both of these guys? I'm not sure. Went out and got Rick Woolen from the Seattle Seahawks. So you going to tell me Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, and Rick Woolen as your starting three corners? Yeah, the league shouldn't let that happen, but they did. It is what it is. When I got Arnick Ebiketie from the Falcons, former first rounder, a really good run defender, kind of in the middle tier of pass rushing, but they helped that out from an edge perspective. Re-signed Dallas Goedert to a 1-year deal. He was on a void year, so they kind of reworked that and got him a 1-year deal in that space. So got him back for at least 1 year. When I got Marquise Hollywood Brown, the slot guy, to go along with AJ Brown, maybe AJ Brown is the Eagle still at the start of the season. We don't know. It's trade rumors galore going around there. But Devontae Smith was along with Marquise Brown. Those three should be a good time if they all together. They re-signed Brandon Graham. Ironically, he's going to come back for another year, which is interesting. I thought he's going to retire. Signed Jonathan Jones as a cornerback to add to that room. So Jonathan Jones is the fourth corner in this room, and he's good. That tells you how good the secondary is going to look in 2026. Shout out to Vic Fangio, man, for doing his thing. But Johnny Mutt is a second or third tight end, and then they got traded for Andy Dalton as a backup from the Panthers. So that'll be interesting to see. So what do they need going into the draft? I think they need an edge rusher. Nolan Smith and Arnold Ebiketie. I'm not sure if I'm okay with the idea of them being the only guys in my room that's going to be the primary men. Nolan Smith's an undersized guy, more of a speed guy, and Arnold Ebiketie is not a great pass rusher. So I need to go into the draft and give me a rock solid guy. So I'm spending my first round pick on that right here and right now. A safety. They traded away Sidney Brown, I believe, recently. So I think they need to upgrade in their safety rooms. The guy I got out in mind for them to kind of help out that conversation. And then get a tight end in the later rounds, maybe day 3, to backfill Dallas Goedert if you can't come to an agreement for a long-term deal. And I think he's 30 now, so maybe they don't want to pay big money to a guy that's 30. Maybe they want to go younger there. So I think tight end will be a get as their third pick. So how do you address that? I would go out and get Cassius Howe, Texas A&M, I believe, the edge rusher out of college. First pick, I would draft them. I know a lot of people have them getting Kenyon Sadiq at that pick. But I'm addressing the edge rushing room first. I mean, you got Dallas Goedert for another year, and I think you can get a talented guy that can backfill him later in the draft. So I'm going to get Cassius Howe first. I'm doing that first. Then I'm going to get A.J. Harley out of LSU, a safety to backfill Sidney Brown. I'm going to get him to help that secondary room out. Between him and those corners, I think they're going to be really good in pass coverage next year. And third, I'm going to get Dallin Bentley. He's a really underrated, going under the radar, talented tight end. That's a tongue twister. Talented tight end that's going to be good for any team that picks him. And I think if they get Dallin Bentley in the later rounds, maybe day 3 at some point, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, I think he'll be there in any of those picks. I would argue that getting Dallin Bentley and bringing him in as a Dallas Goedert potential replacement to go along with them two, to kind of groom him in their role, I would argue that that's going to be a great move for them. So that'll round out the offense, and we'll see if they get any more draft picks or capital players if they do trade A.J. Brown. But I think it has to be a post-1 designation type of deal because his cap hit before then is substantial. So I think they're going to wait to do a post-draft or maybe a post-June 1 trade if they do it. I think the Patriots have been linked to him, so we'll see. But if A.J. Brown is there along with these weapons, I think they're going to be pretty good. The only question is, can their OC call plays? Because that's their Achilles heel. When they got a good OC, they win, go to the Super Bowl. If they don't, they lose. So that's where it lands. So to round out with the Commanders, who made the most moves in free agency, I believe, they spent the most money. They had a lot of it, and they went out and spent it. Now, I mean, I'm jealous because the Chargers didn't do what they did, but hey, that's their business. They doing their thing, trying to build around their franchise quarterback in Jalen Daniels. So they extended Laramie Tunsil, got him as left tackle solidified. They went out and signed Adafe Owe to a $100 million deal, 25 a year, as a designated pass rusher to help out that room. They went outside Chig Okonkwo to upgrade their tight end room, which they sorely needed. He's a really good underrated tight end. Didn't get any love in Tennessee. Went out and got Leo Chanel, who I wanted for the Chargers as an interior linebacker. He's really good. Didn't get a lot of love or a lot of shine in Kansas City, but when I tell you he can play the run and he can cover well, that's all you need in the linebacker in the interior, especially in that defense. They went out and signed Tim Settles as interior D lineman. They went out and got Meek Robinson as a corner. They went out and got Nick Cross from the Colts as a great safety coming out of college. I don't know what they were doing with Nick Cross in Indy, but I'm here to tell you, and I think he's a Maryland kid. So it's kind of a homecoming for him. Yeah, Nick Cross is definitely going to play well for this team, I think, if they use him right. They got Caleb Kason to go along with Adafe Owe, those two edge rushers. It's interesting to me because I'm going to say this. Adafe and Caleb are not great run defenders. So they're more known for their pass rush skills. So I'd be curious to see how they deploy them when they put them on the field. But I'm curious to see how that's going to work with this defense. Re-signed Chris Paul, their guard. They got Charles Minihue from Kansas City, another DN, is a good run defender. Signed Rashad White, Tampa Bay's old running back. Signed Jerome Ford. So they got three good running backs now. They got White, Ford, and Akroski Merritt. So that's a rounded out room. A lot of people had them linked to Jeremiah Love, picking him in the draft first. But now they got three running backs. I doubt they do that. Re-signed Marcus Mariota, re-signed Treylon Burks, De'Ami Brown, Van Jefferson, and they re-signed Jake Moody, their kicker. So they spend money, man. They spend money. They still got a little bit to go, too. They still got some cap space. So I don't know if they're done making moves or not, but they definitely flipped this roster in one offseason for sure. So what are their three needs? They had some departures. They did release Marshawn Lattimore and Tyler Biadasz. Ironically, Tyler Biadasz ended up with the Chargers. So, hey, shout out to y'all. Appreciate that. But yeah, so Marshawn Lattimore was a free agent. Tyler Biadasz is now with the Chargers, so they did let them go. But what are their three needs? I think it's still edge rusher. I'm not comfortable with Caleb Vaughn and Adafe being my primary guys on first and second down against the run. So I'm going out and getting me a complete edge rusher if I can manage it at that pick in the top 10. Then I'm going to get a wide receiver. Again, Terry McLaurin is not getting any younger, and his contract is coming up. The next guy up is Van Jefferson, Treylon Burks, or Luke McCaffrey. So I want to upgrade my wide receiver room, especially in the slot. Then I'm going out and give me a cornerback as well, either in free agency or the draft. I'm thinking more free agency because I think there's a guy out there that's familiar with this coaching regime that could be had in this particular conversation. So we'll see. But those are my top three needs for the Commanders. So who should they get? So top it off, I'm going to get Ruben Bain in the top 10. I'm doing it. He's a great run defender. He's a great edge rusher. I would have linked him to like a Khalil Mack type of ad and the type of talent he can bring. So I'm definitely signing Ruben Bain up, my first pick. Definitely going out and getting him. Now, I don't believe they don't have a second round pick, so I'm going into the third round and getting Deion Burks. Deion Burks is a really good slot receiver. He's very highly underrated. He can run. He can run straight line. He can run out of the catch. I mean, he's a prototypical slot, and you line up him in the slot with Chig Okonkwo tight end and Terry McLaurin outside, and whoever's going to play the other outside, maybe Treylon Burks or whoever. That's a solid room for Jaden Daniels. I like it. And then free agency for the cornerback spot, I'm going to get Trayvon Diggs. He's familiar with Dan Quinn. He played with Dan Quinn in Dallas. I think he had his best years in Dan Quinn's system. And Dan Quinn, he's going to be overseeing the defense for sure, although he's not directly calling the plays technically. You know how that goes. But I think Trayvon Diggs would be a great ad for them to go out and get him because, again, they still have money. And he's still standing out there in free agency. I think he'll be a great ad for them to add to this secondary room to go along with Trey Amos and a few other guys that are there. So, yeah, I think Trayvon Diggs makes a lot of sense for them in regards to who they should get in free agency. And they'll draft those two guys at the top, and that's going to change your life on defense and offense day one. They should be day one starters, in my opinion. So I like it. I really like it. So, hey, man, NFC East fans and Lockdown Defense patrons, let me know how you feel about these ads, these moves, what the NFC East going to look like in 2026, and who they should be targeting in the draft, man. I'm looking for the feedback from Indy and everybody that wants to comment on these videos. So, as I talk about in the top of the show, we do have a Patreon channel. We started a Patreon channel about a month and a half ago. It is for exclusive content that is not here on YouTube. We drop a lot of exclusive content that is unfiltered, more detailed, more heavy hitting. If you're really, really, really deep into the NFL, you want to know everything about the league, sign up for our Patreon channel today. There's a 7-day free trial so you know what you're getting before you sign up long term. But I promise you, you will not be disappointed and you will want to stay long term. So please sign up for that today. Link is at the bottom. If you're looking for the hit squad, any space, anytime, our Commanders insider, Mike Dubb, the real AG Alex Givens, our Chiefs insider, and our Chargers insider, Robert Garcia. Hit him up on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And some people have Instagram. Hit him up on that space. Send him a DM or send him an ad or whatever the case may be. if you have questions about their teams and want to get their questions answered about that particular NFL topic, man, or any NFL topic in general. And if you're looking for the Lockdown Defense Podcast Network, if in any space, anytime, here's our socials. Please hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel to let the YouTube algorithm know we're doing big things to support this podcast movement. We can be found pretty much on all social media platforms as well. Lockdown Defense Sports on every channel except for Twitter, and it's Lockdown Defense. Lockdown Defense channel at Gmail. LockdownDefenseSports@gmail.com is our email address. So drop us a line if you have any questions about the Lockdown Defense Sports Network, and we'll be getting back to you in short order. But that's going to do it for me. So check me out. Check the rest of the guys out this week. We will do every division in the NFC. We're going to go on NFC North, South, East, North, South, and West. After we done the East, so we're going to get that done. It'll be ready for you all this week. So check that out. And like I said, sign up for the Patreon if you have not done so already. But in the meantime, between time, I'm your boy, Coach Davis. Until I see you again, you got to do one thing and one thing well. You got to step up to lock it down.